Demi?
Demi.
Ferris? First of all, thank you for coming to the lecture, and then thank you for your questions, and then for sitting down. I take it you did not agree with me coming in. Did I persuade either of you?
No.
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Not particularly, no.
The topic of the conversation was abortion.
Mm-hmm.
You asked about transgenderism.
I did.
I didn't persuade you on that.
No, not really.
When did you start to identify as a woman?
What makes you say that I identify as a woman? Because I actually didn't assert that.
I don't know.
Is it just pattern recognition? Do I just look like one of the transes?
You're wearing a dress. It was
Yeah.
the first hint.
Yeah. Have you heard of a femboy? Do you know what that means?
Now I have, but I don't know what it means.
Okay. It's feminine men. They wear a lot of dresses. It's cool.
But
I'm not a femboy. I identify as a trans woman.
Okay. So I was right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You were correct.
But a femboy is different than a trans.
Yes, they are. They're quite different.
What's the difference?
So a femboy still retains their male identity and pursues femininity, whereas a trans woman actually identifies as a woman.
What does that mean, though? If you if I pursue Sicilian identity, then I would identify as Sicilian.
Two students sit down with Michael Knowles for an honest debate after one of his events. They came prepared, and in their honesty and willingness to have a real conversation, instead of proving their point, they inadvertently exposed the psychological foundation of the entire movement.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But then if a femboy pursues feminine identity, he would identify as female.
You would identify as feminine, not necessarily female. I think you and everyone at the Daily Wire would agree that feminine and female are not synonymous.
Well, men can be effeminate.
Yeah,
actually.
effeminate.
But that's different than feminine.
Feminine. How would you define feminine versus effeminate?
Feminine is good, and it's what women are when they act like women. And effeminate is bad, and it's what men are when they act like women.
So yeah, we could say a femboy is a boy who is effeminate. Well, then a trans woman actually doesn't retain the male identity and chooses to identify as a female.
Okay, but then to loop back around to my first question, when did you start to identify as transgender?
Started to identify as transgender. Internally, I've noticed the sort of mismatch between my identity and the body that I was given and the roles that society has placed upon me. That mismatch was pretty clear from a very young age. I'm not going to pretend that I was a woman all along. You know, I was born with a female brain. But I'd say probably since around 4K, like school.
4K?
Like 4-year-old kindergarten, like preschool.
Okay. What do you think caused it? If you say you weren't, it's not like you were born in the wrong body or something, then what do you think caused it?
I think it's quite simple, really. I think some people like ketchup and some people don't. I wanted to live my life this way. I wanted to pursue these characteristics, these traits.
No, I'm not denying that you want or
that I want to do that.
But I'm just kind of asking why.
Yeah, I mean, I think the same reason why anybody identifies as the gender they were assigned at birth. Well, it just feels kind of natural.
When did you publicly start doing it?
I'd say I came out as trans to everyone except for my family members, because it wasn't safe in my household.
What do you mean it wasn't safe?
Why wasn't it safe?
Yeah.
I don't want to get into the grotesque details, but I was in a pretty abusive household. My father was not very accepting, but my mother.
Do you think maybe that might have had anything to do with, all of this?
No, the abuse and whatnot didn't really. I don't see any correlation with that in my gender identity. I could see the look on your face
because I've just heard
the talking point.
I've heard it's not just. I mean, I've just heard it from people who have detransitioned, or that sometimes that correlates.
Yeah, I don't trust me. I'm not proud to say that I grew up in an abusive household and I also happen to be trans. I don't want to fuel that statistic, but I'm also not going to be dishonest about my upbringing.
Yeah. Now you are not trans.
I am.
You're just
trans.
You're trans too? Mm-hmm. No, you're not.
I am.
So what are you?
I'm non-binary.
Oh, all right. I don't mean to be different, but you're not saying you're a man.
I'm not saying I'm a man now.
And you would have at some point in your life said you're a woman.
I don't think I ever said I was a woman.
A little girl? I don't know.
Sure, yeah.
You did, okay. But then when did you decide you're non-binary?
I didn't know what transgender or non-binary was until I was 14, 15.
Most people had not heard of it until recently.
I mean, it existed, but I hadn't heard of it.
I suppose we'll perhaps agree to disagree on that.
You don't think it existed until recently?
No, I think people have been confused about their sex, and I think they've had all sorts of aberrant desires for all of history. But I don't think it's a real category, basically. So I don't mean it in any disrespectful way. I just don't think, I don't think it's possible to have a male body but be a female, because I don't think that's how body and soul or how identity actually works.
So I think what we're saying is that transgenderism, let's just say as an ideology, has existed for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
The first books that were burned in the Holocaust were about transgender people, about sexual studies.
But, well, yeah, there was all sorts of sort of sexual, and it goes back obviously much further than the 1940s. People had these desires. But it is
yes.
I suppose the difference would be transvestitism has existed for all of history, always been sort of, cabarets and red light districts and things like that. But the ideology, meaning the view that a man could say he really is a woman, or a woman could say she really is multiple, they or them, or not neither a man or a woman, that's a relatively new ideology.
No.
Not the behavior,
actually.
but
We have, looking back, I mean, obviously historical records going back thousands of years get kind of shaky just because, we aren't able to preserve text that long, and maybe text even didn't exist, but
they did exist. We actually have
for all of human history.
well,
Thousands of years, yeah, but not like
not going back to Adam in the garden. That's probably true.
But there's evidence of people with assigned male skeletons in traditionally female clothing and attire in burial. And we have the same vice versa. People, this is one of the specific examples I'm thinking of was Norse. There was a female skeleton that was buried with traditionally male burial rites and clothing.
How do they know the skeleton's female?
Well, I said female because obviously I believe that gender is something social rather than just biological. But
the scientists were able to identify it by the skeleton.
we know that sex is unambiguous.
Yes.
I don't think we're denying that.
There's this odd idea among conservatives that transgender people don't understand that biological sex exists, or that we're deluded.
Some don't. Some don't. Some do. You obviously do, but some don't.
No.
I mean, I have yet to meet anybody.
I've yet to meet anyone.
I've seen people
who's
clipped out of
genuinely-
context to look like that, but I haven't.
Those people are talking to me. These are people. I promise you, I've spoken to these people on camera in some cases. But in any case, you don't feel that way.
I have
So
never
you're
felt that way.
You're non-binary. You said that you came to this realization at 14.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think kind of pushed you over that edge at 14?
I think intense emotional distress at the prospect of needing to navigate through life being someone's daughter, someone's sister, someone's girlfriend, someone's wife, someone's mother. That's just something that wasn't really a role that I wanted to fill, and a role that I felt intensely distressed at the prospect of needing to fulfill.
I don't think she realizes just how profound her admission actually is right there. She describes intense emotional distress at the thought of navigating life as a daughter, a sister, a girlfriend, a wife, and a mother. Notice what's being rejected here. It's not just a social label. It's the entire weight of relational responsibility and adulthood and reality as a whole. Becoming a woman takes courage, growth, and enduring the natural friction and suffering of life. Instead of developing the capacity to fill those roles, adopting a new label offers an immediate exit hatch. When the demands of reality feel too scary, rejecting the framework altogether becomes the ultimate defense mechanism. Then look at the young man who admitted earlier to growing up in an abusive household. When a boy is raised by a tyrannical or abusive father, the archetype of manhood gets corrupted. Instead of seeing masculinity as protective strength, self-reliance, and emotional discipline, he will equate manhood strictly with violence and fear. To protect himself, he regresses into a submissive, non-threatening posture. Subverting his own biological manhood is a way to tell the world and his past, I am not a threat. Don't hurt me. Look at his physical cues on camera. The downward gaze, avoiding eye contact, keeping himself small. That isn't just shyness. That's a classic trauma response where hiding becomes survival.
Why is that?
It's difficult to explain, and it would be difficult to explain in a very short period of time. It's just one of those things that you feel deep down in your soul.
You mean it would be difficult to explain even to yourself, or you're just saying it would be difficult to articulate this thing that I
It's
understand?
difficult to articulate. It's kind of an abstract thing.
The cause of gender dysphoria and this discomfort with your sex assigned at birth and these roles is still pretty widely debated, even in the woke scientific community.
Right. And there would seem to be, even among the pro-trans kind of woke,
Yeah.
a presumed plurality, or multiplicity rather, of causes. For some people, it might be caused by some emotional distress. For some people, it might be caused by any number of other factors. Again, I'm just repeating what I've heard from the left. I'm just a little confused as to what non-binary means.
Non-binary means I am not a man or a woman, regardless of what parts I was bestowed.
Okay. What you're saying is your body has nothing to do with whether you're a man or a woman.
Correct.
Okay.
I think oftentimes the gender identity does describe a relationship to one's body. For example, if I were to say I am a transgender woman, I'm directly asserting that I am a woman and that I have, male genitalia.
Or you could have gone under
chromosomes.
the knife and lost your male genitalia.
I could have. Yeah.
So you could be asserting that too. So I guess that's what I'm saying. It seems like you could just, all of these terms just mean kind of whatever you want them to mean.
Right there at the end. My body has nothing to do with whether I am a man or a woman. They sum up the ultimate paradox of modern gender ideology. People think this movement is brand new or hyper-progressive, but philosophically it's a 2,000-year-old ancient heresy called Gnosticism. Gnosticism is built on a complete disconnect between the mind and the physical body. It claims the physical world, your biology, your DNA, the body you were bestowed, is meaningless, and only your internal subjective feelings hold any truth. When you reject the physical reality of who you aren't discovering some new liberation. You're reviving an old belief system that forces you to fight against your own biology instead of making peace with it, which causes massive cognitive dissonance. And as we saw at the beginning of this clip, that fight almost always stems from a desire to escape the scary, heavy responsibilities of real-world adulthood. Gender ideology isn't a modern step forward. It's an ancient attempt to escape reality. You can declare war on your own biology, but no new label will ever heal the wounds that you refuse to face. When you make an enemy of your own body to avoid the heavy weight of real life, you don't find liberation. You just construct a different kind of prison. And that is the paradox of the modern world's inversion of truth. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Like and share the video, and subscribe for more. Stay unchained.